England under Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum are redefining the way how Test cricket is being played. Looking at the current collapse that the Australian cricket team is having right now in India, who knows, maybe the prime contest that we may have in cricket in this modern era could be India versus England. Because England, after 15 long years, under the stewardship of Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, two Kiwis incidentally have managed to end a 15-year jinx in New Zealand. England have won the first test by 267 runs and they have taken a 1-0 lead against New Zealand. The prime architects of this win was England's Bazball approach. Brendan McCullum seems to be redefining the way how England are playing their cricket. Because remember, this is their 10th win in 11 matches. Ben Stokes, born in New Zealand but hurting New Zealand in a big way, be it the 2019 World Cup or now, he continues to show why he is one of the best leaders at this point in time. Because England have displayed that no matter whatever the conditions, they have an aggressive template and a very, very smart, proactive way of cricket. Let me just give you the summary of why smart proactivity is benefiting England in a big way and why Australia at this point in time are struggling. England in the first innings made 325 for 9 declared. How many overs? 58.2 overs. 5.57, that was the run rate with which they maintained. And it was not just mindless slogging, it was proper proactive hitting. And they chose the bowlers who they can go after at Mount Maunganui. Because if you look at the scorecard, Harry Brook, 89 of 81. Zach Crow, Ben Duckett, 84 of 68. 14 boundaries, not many sixes, 14 boundaries. 14 boundaries, and that is what set the tone in this. 84 of 68, 89 of 81, Ben Foakes 38 of 56. Yes, Bazball also had its very, very small, if you may say. I mean, you can say there was a very small side effect of it. Joe Root, one of the best batters in the modern era in that Fab Four, getting out to a ramp shot. That is one of the dark side benefits of Bazball. But 325 for 9 declared. 58.2 overs at 5.57. In response, New Zealand somehow managed to stay in the game with 306. Devon Conway hitting 77, but it was Tom Blundell, 138, that got them close to New England. 306 all out with Ollie Robinson taking 4 wickets and James Anderson taking 3 wickets. England, yet again, in the second innings, I mean, they've made 374 for 10. How many overs? 73.5. 5. Throughout the entire test match, England were scoring at 5 runs per over. And that was a testament to the way Bazball is. Because smart proactivity and smart shot selection means that England can now have a new template. And because they play so quickly and they play so aggressively, there is plenty of time to force a result in a test match. So who are the stars yet again? Ollie Robinson, 39 of 48. Harry Brook, 54 of 41. Now remember, Harry Brook and Devon Conway seem to be the only players in this modern era who seem to be working well in all formats. ODIs, Tests, T20Is, especially Harry Brook, because Brook is bringing the T20I template even into Test cricket, and that is why his strike rate, and already in his short career, he has scored over 700 runs at a very good average and a very good strike rate as well. And then Harry Brook, then it was again Joe Root making up for that miss earlier in the first innings, 57 of 62. Even Root seems to be swayed by Bazball. Then Ollie Pope, 49 of 46. So essentially, 5.57 and 5.07. These are the numbers for England. What is it for? The run rate. Because they are scoring at such a big run rate and they are managing to declare, let me tell you one thing, 325 for 9 in 58.2 overs. Second quickest first innings declaration in history. And that is why England could force a result in a big way. Now in the second innings, Stuart Broad. Stuart Broad in the past has made it a habit to have one particular spell where he would run through opponents. Consider the case of Australia in 2009 Oval. There was one spell he took 5 wickets for 37. He just ran through the opponents. South Africa in Johannesburg, remember, he had a spell of 5 for 17. Even in the past against India, he had a hat trick. He took 6 wickets in one particular spell. Then there were several other spells, 8 for 15 in one particular spell against Australia and Trent Bridge. Stuart Broad makes it a habit to run through opponents. 7 for 44 that he had against New Zealand in Lords. Here, 4 very early wickets and New Zealand's back was broken. 63 for 5, it was only a matter of time when day 4 happened. Day 4, it was the other veteran, James Anderson. James Anderson took 4 wickets and he's now taken his tally to over 680 wickets. In this test match, the duo of Broad and Anderson have now become the most successful duo in the history of Test cricket. 1,000 plus wickets, breaking the record of the late great Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath. They took 1,001 wickets as a duo. Anderson and Broad now have over 1,004 wickets. And it truly sums up the fact that with age, Anderson and Broad are getting better and better. Broad could be on the cusp of 600 wickets for all you know. Anderson is on the cusp of 700. And consider this, they play one more test and then 5 tests against Australia in June, July, the Ashes. If you look at the fact that in the milestone, if you look at it, James Anderson could very well break Shane Warne's tally of 708 wickets. He's only 24 away. And at the same time, Stuart Broad could break other records as well, because in this current test match, what we have seen is Broad, Anderson and the rest of the batters like Harry Brook, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, they have all managed to ensure that England is now a very, very potent unit. Let us look at Bazball. I got one comment from Ruben Loganathan. They used to mock and laugh at Bazball in Sports Today's show. It seems England is the best test team at present. Ruben, I'll tell you one thing. We never mocked Bazball. Let me just tell you one thing. We said that the term Bazball, what is Bazball? Aggressive cricket. In the past, the West Indies team of the 80s, Richards, Lloyd, all of them, Kalicharan, you look at it, there was Greenwich, Haynes, they all played very, very aggressive cricket. The Australian team of the early 2000s, Matthew Hayden, he played aggressive. Ricky Ponting, aggressive. Adam Gilchrist, they were all precursors to Bazball, if you have to look at it. Rishabh Pant for India, he had a very different and aggressive style of play. So Bazball, I mean, we can pay tribute to Brendan McCullum for coining that word, because McCullum himself was the advocate of fast, aggressive cricket in test matches. He was the leading 6-hitter and he played 101 tests on the trot. He's also credited for having a new term in day-night cricket, and that is the Nighthawk. Yes, in this test match, if I look at it, it was a test match of innovations. The Nighthawk, Bazball at its full flow, because Stuart Broad became the first Nighthawk in day-night cricket. What do? Do you get a night watchman in a day-night test when you're playing under the lights? No, you get a Nighthawk. That was how this test match is. The Nighthawk is one memorable thing I can look at it. But let me come to Bazball. You saw in the tests against New Zealand, you saw in the tests against South Africa, you saw in Pakistan, and now here. What seems to be the common template of Bazball? It is, depending upon the conditions, aggressive, proactive hitting. Sustained hitting from all the batters that are there from number 1 to number 11. Whoever can hit and whoever can find the gaps on a regular basis, that is the method of Bazball. Consider England's performance in Rawalpindi. The pitch had no demons whatsoever. 657 in 101 overs. That was when we decided that, okay, maybe there is something to Bazball that the world might not be able to see, and that was sustained, consistent hitting. But Bazball's tactics also backfired under a good bowling attack. Let me give you an example. South Africa. In one of the tests, England collapsed dramatically because they were going too aggressively. And South Africa could exploit it. That is why if you look at Ben Stokes' captaincy period, out of the 11 tests, 10 have been won, 1 has been a loss. So that is the main reason I see that Bazball might have its problems if there is a very good bowling attack that can exploit it. Who knows? The likes of India, the likes of Australia. Australia, anyway, are not playing their full strength bowling lineup, let me tell you that. There's no Josh Hazelwood, there's no Mitchell Stark. So that is why, if you look at it, it will be very, very difficult for England perhaps to replicate it. But having said that, let me advocate the other side of Bazball. If it comes out, it turns to be very, very spectacular. And Australia, let me tell you, looking at the confidence hammering that they're getting in India, when they arrive in June for the Ashes, it is not going to be easy, because England have now found a blueprint for close to 1 year now, wherein they can be very aggressive and they can just go for the kill in any sort of conditions. The Australian attack, the Australians have dismissed Bazball as something which is a hype. I don't tend to agree now. Brendan McCullum has forced us to look at Test cricket in a big, big way. Look at the kind of scores that are coming up. It's no longer a Test match. It is called a lengthier ODI now. Imagine, who would have thought in the 90s and in the 2000 period, teams would score 657 in 101 overs. England are pushing that barrier. Already they are the white ball kings. Now their stake is they want to make up for lost time and play aggressive red ball cricket as well. There is Ben Duckett who's doing it. There is Harry Brook who's giving you a lot of impetus. Ben Stokes. By the way, Ben Stokes has done what his coach couldn't do, and that was he's become the leading six-hitter in Test cricket. 90 tests, 109 sixes. And if you look at it in this captaincy period, he has increased it by a notch. Let me tell you something about Ben Stokes. The dark side of Bazball and the spectacular side of Bazball. You saw in one of the tests against New Zealand, I think it was Trent Bridge, Stokes had hit a six. Signal of intent. Yes, I'm going to go for it. But Stokes' very next ball hold out to long off also, repeating the same shot. Bazball is like that, walking on the tightrope. If you have one bad shot, you fall down. That is the unfortunate thing about this particular theory that is there. Go for the attack. Brendan McCullum also, let me tell you, in his 100th test, he fell for a duck. But in the next test, he got to 145. Will you have such a kind of a roller coaster situation wherein a team wants to go for the kill but ends up losing wickets and in the end the match? Perhaps on the decks in India, where there is a lot of low bounce, where there is spin, England might actually struggle with the Bazball approach. But remember, in Karachi and in Multan, England managed to make a game out of it because they somehow managed to get the bowlers to go put in their entire effort. The batting, 244 in 45 overs, 50 overs, great stuff. But at the end of the day, England will have to be very, very proactive. And now, looking at the India versus Australia collapse, look at how Australia have collapsed. They are trying to be aggressive, but they are not executing it well. Will England do the same thing, supposing, because India and England play each other in 2024 for a 5-test series in India? Will England be in that same kind of mindset in about a year or two? It depends. So that is how I see it. So England have ended a 15-year jinx at Mount Maunganui. 15 years. They won in 2008. They didn't win in 2013. They didn't win in 2017. They didn't win in 2019. Now they have won in 2023 under Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes. Two New Zealanders hurting New Zealand. It seems to be a very, very strange act of providence. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back immediately with a lot more updates. Remember, India versus Australia. Australia are on the brink. Ranji final also. We are going to see Saurashtra dominate. We'll be back for all of that. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Don't forget to tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget to download the Sports Talk mobile app as well. Thank you.